My name is Matt Gates. I represent the 4th District in the Florida House of Representatives, which includes the coastal portions of Santa Rosa and Okaloosa County. And I have a great district, a lot of folks who risk their lives in defense of our country's freedom with the military bases in my district, and a lot of retirees who've come to Florida hoping to have a great kind of next chapter in their lives. And so the chance to represent a district like that is truly the honor of my life. I am probably one of the younger members of the Florida House. By trade, I'm an attorney. And really, I was raised in a household where there was an expectation that my sister and I would have a service ethic, that we'd contribute in some way. For me, that turned out to be elective office, but you know, there are many ways to serve, and I try to also make sure that back in my community I can contribute with my charities and my church, and it's been a great opportunity for me to come here and speak on behalf of the people that I love so dearly. One of my favorite committees that I serve on is the Rulemaking and Regulation Committee, because we're working every day to limit the burdens of government on Floridians as they live their lives and engage in the economy. And so in that role, it's been truly enjoyable to see how we can create that space in the economy for more opportunity and free enterprise. And it's been probably one of my most significant achievements is to pass some significant regulatory reform. Whenever there's a shortfall in a budget, there are really two ways to look at how to address that shortfall. Do we raise taxes? Do we increase the financial burdens on Floridians? Or do we do what all of Florida's families have to do and scrutinize every dollar that we spend? I find myself in that second camp, and I think there are opportunities for us to always be smaller, smarter, and more responsive. This year, I'm particularly interested in preserving funding for Floridians who suffer from developmental disabilities. There are some who are at great need, and I'm optimistic that we'll have the opportunity to meet the needs of those Floridians, of our children, in our schools, of Floridians in nursing homes. We'll be able to meet those needs while at the same time not raising taxes and not raising revenue in a way that would actually harm the economy and lead to even worse deficits in the future. Well, we're here to work. The Constitution requires us to come to Tallahassee for a 60-day legislative session and pass a budget, and I think that's what the House of Representatives intends to do. I think Speaker Cannon has shown great leadership, saying that even though the job will be tough, even though there'll be some uncertainties, we're going to have to face our budget problems just like the families of Florida face theirs. Plan as best we can for the future that we can most reasonably anticipate and ensure that we're prioritizing those most significant needs of our state: education, infrastructure, caring for the developmentally disabled, caring for the elderly. If we can do those things, I think that we'll have a productive session, and I think we'll be able to get it done in 60 days. Well, I am so proud of Speaker-designate Weatherford and a guy I know pretty well in the Senate, Senator Don Gates, my dad. They went around and had dozens of hearings around the state, took testimony from thousands of Floridians, hundreds submitted testimony in writing, and we have crafted maps that I think are constitutionally compliant and that work for the people of Florida, where folks know who their representative is and their representative lives nearby and can be responsive to the needs. So I'm likewise encouraged that in the Florida Senate, the redistricting maps were passed with overwhelming bipartisan support. I hope we're able to accomplish that same objective in the Florida House of Representatives, but I think that the people of Florida will be proud of the transparency and the openness we've had in the process. One of the bills that's a real priority to me is my bill to reform the regulatory process in Florida and ensure that the legislature doesn't inappropriately delegate authority to bureaucrats who aren't elected by the voters of Florida. And so my hope is that we can have more accountability in the regulatory process, more input from the public as rules are being reviewed, because in government, all we want to do is create a fair, level playing field for folks to be able to go and compete in a free economy. And the more government can show restraint, then the more oxygen there'll be in the economy for those who want to prosper. I think that as we look at education reform, that's another very important area for our state to evaluate. And the legislature, I'm very proud to say, has made some very bold reforms that will reward great teachers, that will ensure that the quality of instruction that students receive improves, And in this session and in sessions into the future, it's important that the legislature adhere to those principles that we've laid out and that we don't take any steps to erode performance pay for great teachers, or any steps also that would erode the quality of instruction that students receive in our state.